This is the Nightwolf howling at you, and today we're going to take a look at the Masters of the Universe X ThunderCats Panthro figure, the heroic Thundarian Battlemaster. Just going to say from the previews, this was one of the figures that I was kind of really disappointed in, so let's see if I am when we get done looking at him. So we go from that side to the back of it, where we see some nice artwork here of Panthro stands by Lion-O's side, ready to defeat evil across the ends of the universe. It includes a comic book. Panthro, the heroic Thundarian Battlemaster. Plug mace onto arm. As part of this wave, we have He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Although, really, they probably should have called him the most powerful Thundarian in the universe, since apparently he's supposed to be Thundarian, who is on Third Eternia. Tigra, the heroic Thundarian scientist. And, of course, the one we're looking at now. Panthro, the heroic Thundarian Battlemaster of baiting. Well, let's go ahead and open this sucker up, shall we? So we have here the little sheet that shows us how to transform him from Thundarian to Eternian, which is basically just take off all the armor and swap out his calves. Which, again, I wish they would have just given us freaking full boots. Dude! They don't even have the right calves on him for this form. What the hell? Jesus Christ. You know what? Let's just start him out in Thundarian mode, shall we? There is sticky shit all over his, Oh my god! The paint isn't dry on the logo! Look at that! I don't know if you can see that. There's paint on my thumb! Holy shit! Look at that! Look! Seriously, what the f***? Like, there's some on here, on the belt. But... oh my dear Christ. You know, I have been having, like, the worst luck with this line. Hold on. You know what? Not only are the calves... are the fringe supposed to be on the inside or the outside? That says... my right or his right? No, I guess based on this, the fringe is supposed to be on the inside. Okay. All right, so we are off to a disappointing start. Let me remind you, so far in this lineup with ThunderCats, Masters of the Universe crossover line here, Lion-O had a misformed hand. Battlecat's claw broke almost instantly while trying to put it on. And now, somehow they put Panthro together with his logo still wet. Ugh. This is so disappointing. Alright, well, let's go ahead and talk about this figure really quick. Well, let's look at the comic real quick, I guess. The Power Sword of Omens. Here we have... I sliced the comic again. Oopsie. You know what? I'd be more disappointed in that if the comic didn't suck. So we basically have Cheetara and Panthro and He-Man fighting Tigra and rushing to his aid. At the same time, we have Lion-O and Cat Man finding Tigra and rushing to his aid. But wait, that's 2 Tigras, isn't it? Yes, it is. It turns out that the Tigra with He-Man, Cheetara, and Panthro is a fake. It is Skell-Ra in disguise. He laughs as he steals the power sword from He-Man, saying that he will use it to smite everyone from existence. But of course, Tigra manages to get the power sword away from Skell-Ra. And as he does so, he tosses it to Lion-O, who combines it together with the Sword of Omens to create the Power Sword of Omens. And he attacks Skell-Ra. Looks like he's cutting him in half, in fact. And apparently he dissolves into nothingness. And the comic ends. This is going to be a really disappointing line if it turns out that there's only the 3 waves with these 2 comics. Because we all know the next wave of figures is basically all repaints. You get Panther Man. You get a repaint of Panthro here. And then we get a repaint of Lion-O. Now, in the case of Panthro, I guess now that this logo on him is all effed up, I might go ahead and pick up that one, because I can display this one in the Eternian armor and display the other one just as Panthro, maybe. I'll have to decide later. Because Panthro I didn't bother getting 2 of, because I already wasn't that impressed with the Eternian look from the toy before. But now that we have him, we'll see how it looks. But before we get that far... Oh, God. That is... Ugh. That is so gross, honestly. Like, and it's not like it comes off and, like, it's fine. It doesn't come off. Or it comes off, but it doesn't... Oh, shit, even the red's coming off now, too. God, this is just... I don't know. I don't have any setting powder or anything like that. Maybe I'll have to ask, like, one of the ladies I know if they have some setting powder. Maybe that would work on there. Okay, that being said, here is Panthro in his Thundarian form. He does come with his hot and cold kitty call chucks. And it has a real chain in it, which is good, because that would have sucked otherwise. And it's a really long chain, too, so you have no problems splitting it apart. Although in the cartoon, I believe the chain kind of changed length depending upon what was needed at the time. And the head sculpt on Panthro actually does look pretty good to me. He's a very fierce-looking warrior. Although, to be perfectly honest, he kind of reminds me of Patrick Stewart. What do you guys think? Does he remind you of Patrick Stewart at all? Let's see. Ah, sticky shit on that. We can kind of do this little back thing that, you know, you see nunchuckers do. So yeah, I mean, the weapon itself, the Thundercat version of the weapon is great. I like it. I think Thundercat Panthro, aside from the fact that his logo is wet and coming apart and sticking to everything, is actually pretty nice. You know, I'm wondering if this is the same bracer that came with the He-Man from the Turtles of Grayskull collection. Well, now let's go ahead and transform Lion-O here into his Thundarian form. He's got some big-ass feet. I think his feet are actually bigger than Lion-O's, to be honest with you. I'm going to pull Lion-O out here in a moment just to see how, because I think Panthro might actually be bigger than Lion-O. I'm also thinking that Mattel might actually be using these bodies for the new He-Man cartoon collection figures from the 2000X series. All right. I wish that would stop sticking to my freaking fingers. Yeah, let's just look at all those spots there with the paint coming off. All right, so slips over his head. Put the belt on. So it covers up the logo so we stop sticking to the damn thing. You know, they finally give us the crossover we've been wanting for years. Man, and so much of it has been disappointing. His weapon is kind of interesting here. It's got that little doodad there to hook stuff into. And then it's got a handle. Which, honestly, they should have had handles on the claws for Battle Cat. But, yeah, we can put it in there like that. So we can either attach the axe, which, okay, looks all right. Or the mace, which, unfortunately, does not have a real chain. We got his leg armor. So we can kind of mimic Man-at-Arms. And we have the shoulder armor that I forgot to put on before putting that thing in his hand. The shoulder armor does not hold on very well. It's actually not very tight. I gotta put the bracer on him too. His spiked bracelet. And now his rubbery mask thing. The mask itself feels like it's a little... With this part here, the harness or the rebreather harness setup, and the mask, it feels like a little too much to me. But I guess the figure's not terrible. Let's go ahead and check out his articulation with all this equipment on. His head still moves a little bit, although it shifts that around with it. The mask stays on pretty well, but it is rubbery, and it kind of curves around his ears there. Hand spins. Arm spins, I mean. Up and down. We have a fold there. Fold. A hinge. Less than 90. Hand spins. We have the in and out articulation that's standard. We have a waist joint. The overbelt does cause some problems there. Leg goes forward that far and back about that far. We can kick out like that. The knee bends, less than 90. Hinge at the ankle and a spin, which y'all saw the peg for it, so you know. So Panthro does in fact appear to be bigger than Lion-O. Thicker thighs, thicker arms, it looks like. So I'm honestly kind of surprised. Although he's not that much taller, but you can kind of see like the boots give him a little bit of a raise, and you can see where his shoulders are lower on Lion-O. So as far as Panthro here goes, I think his Thundarian form looks better than his Eternian form. But honestly, that's been true for that's been true for like most of the line. Like Cheetara looks pretty good in her Eternian form, but Thundarian one still looks better. Battle Cat looks better in his Thundarian form. Not that there's really an alternate for him. And the He-Man, I'm not sure looks particularly good in either form, to be honest. And Lion-O looks better in his Thundarian form too. So like overall, I think what most people are probably going to do with this line anyway is get the ThunderCats and just have them as the ThunderCats in their standard form and not in their Eternian form. So I think this is a good figure to get. They did an excellent job on the nunchucks. I think those look great. I'm glad they put a real chain in there, even if it's plastic, which I think works out better than the mace with the fake plastic chain. I mean, you can literally see the difference between the two here. Sure, the mace, has a little bit more posability technically with his one arm, but that's just something about having an actual chain, you know what I mean? As far as the rest of it goes, I don't think you really need the Eternian stuff at all. I think he's just fine as the Thundarian. I will probably go ahead and pick up the recolor of Panthro though, because of that symbol issue, because I don't know about trying to like get a replacement on this one too at this point. But if I get that other Panthro, I can just have him as the Thundarian version probably. I know all the equipment is recolored. I'm not sure about the figure itself, so that could be interesting. But why don't you guys let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you're planning on getting this Panthro. And have you ever had a figure where the paint was still wet? Seriously, anybody? And if you enjoyed this review, please feel free to leave a like. And if you want to hear more of my nonsense in the future, you can subscribe. I thank you for watching. Peace and love.